So let's go Russ Harris style, and we're going to start to think about what makes you happy. So that's when you go and you look at your values. Now, you guys know I really like to draw. I am going to try and get like one of those fancy rigs where you can see it above, but for right now, this is what we got. You want to have a look at your values, and then when you want to have a look at your current actions. Now, if these two don't match, you're going to feel miserable. So I want you to first to be able to see what actions you're doing, but number two, mostly importantly, let's drill down into the values that help you or make you authentically you. Now, values work can be a bit of a fluff, but the ways that have been, or I've found helpful to do it, is using the work from Mojo Crow or Ben Crow. And I really like what he says, and he says, go back and find your earliest, happiest memory and see if you can find 1 to 5 words that really resonate with you in that moment of time. And look, I'll be happy to share mine. I remember my earliest, happiest memory is me playing outside with my younger sister with a ball. I love playing basketball, and we were literally just playing and laughing and just having a really, 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 really good time. I think my dad was watering or down somewhere on the farm, and my mum was in the garden. Again, that it can be super, super simple. But the things that I picked out of that is I had play. I didn't tell you this, but we were going on an adventure, and we were trying to hone our skills. So play, adventure, I was trying to become better. So like in this pursuit of the thing. So I will put down here improvement. Now, again, I'm giving you an example of mine. I hope yours is different. And then the last thing is I was doing it with my family. So these here, I say improvement, growth, or learning. That's probably the one thing that really kicks me into gear. And a sense of adventure, like we were taking risks, which I really think is fun. So these things are what helped me find my values, and not just values as a clinician, but also values about how I wanted to live my life. So if I have these things in my day, now when I think about adventure, I also can sub in or sub out variety. If I was doing the same thing every single day of my life, I think I would want to poke my eyes out with a fork. So that's why I like to do clinical, teach you guys, and also love having my team at Move. So those 3 things about variety give me adventure in my current life because, hey, as you know, I've got 2 really young kids, 2 under 2 or something like that, and it's chaotic, and I can't just jump on a plane and go overseas like I used to, which I know sounds very, very privileged. But that was my job when I was working in elite sports and working with the cycling team. That is not my reality at the minute, so my adventure is the variety that I have in my day-to-day. If you think that's sad, I don't care, it makes me happy. That is the power of values. So with your values, you found them. So you've gone back to your earliest, happiest memory. You can also go into Russell Harris's stuff, and I can link some stuff in the show notes about how you can then get the values that you meaningful for you. You can use things like values cards, and that's when you get like the values that feel the most pertinent or important to you. So I want you to hold those. Now, so once we've got our values, we then want to go through what actions meet those values. For example, let's use the value that I have about adventure and variability. I talked to you about one of my actions, and then I split my time in my brain in between 3 different funnels of stuff. That's an action that I do that means that I'm living my values. If one of my values is learning and constant improvement, then I always, one of my actions is I always have a goal or something that I'm working towards that I'm trying to learn or unpick and get to the bottom of. If my values are family, my actions are that every single Sunday night we have a family dinner. My family lives really far away, so I will FaceTime them 1 or 2 times in the day. Yes, it's probably an unhealthy reliance on my sister, but hey, we've got 2 young kids and it's like bliss. Again, that's my values and that's what makes me tick. And then 2, play. That all of the stuff that I'm doing, it's not too serious. Yes, there's like a really clear intent and that I'm really passionate about helping you really love your job again, but I'm not going to take myself too seriously because if I did, that would be boring. And also 2, not authentically me. So that's enough wank. So values and actions. That's an example of how I've related my values to what I'm doing. So I want you to have those, hold that. Then this next thing is if you're not too sure what your actions are, or if you're not currently right now living in your values, I want you to start to, and this is where we think about the wheels of life. Now, this has come about, awesome crew at Clinic Mastery use this as a desire statement. So if you are a practice owner and you are looking to level up or get some coaching, these guys are awesome. So desire statements, they will give you a score out of 7 different aspects of your lifestyle. So this we do as a team at Move each year, and we also, it allows us to force function and hold ourselves accountable to what we actually want to achieve. But also too, it means that as a team and as a business, we can actually move people towards some of their goals. If we don't know what their goals are, we can't help them. And so that's why we do this together as a team. We generally do it as a team in November. But what we'll do, and that's what that little tool down the bottom is helping you to do, is give yourself right now a score out of 10. Now we break these down. So it might be finance. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but in that tool that we've created, it'll push you to create them all. Health, like learning, revenue, there are all these different aspects. And so you give yourself a score for right now, and then you write down what you want your ideal to be true in 3 years' time. And this is the power of language. So let's just say, for example, I might have a learning goal. I am going to be a clinical Pilates instructor within the next 3 years. My week is going to look like 60% one-on-one clients and 40% classes and two-on-ones, for example. Then that's when we go to the action piece. What do I need to do today or this quarter that then pushes me to go there? Hey, do the clinical Pilates course that we're offering. Now, that is one example, but shit, I don't care. Do what is indicative that you find in your desire statement. So we've got our values. We've got our actions that are going to help us live our values. We've got where we are right now, our current snapshot within our desire statement. Still feel like we probably should be able to come up with a better idea of how to say that, but that's the wheel of life stuff. And then the next thing, which is the kicker, is you've known that and you've done the hard work to be able to be like, all right, this is where I am right now and this is where I want to be. This is the magic one. And this is how you can create or craft your ideal week. Now, I've been doing this probably in a neurotic way since I was about 16. I used to play moderately high-level basketball and I loved studying, and I felt like my week was so full, but I wanted to make sure I could fit in all the bits that I wanted to. So I was swimming and playing sport. Again, a lot of my schooling life, and I want to acknowledge my privilege, was sport and learning, which, hey, what a childhood, and not everyone's is like that. But this is how I crafted my ideal week. I used those skills then, and now I still am using them, and I'm on 36. So I would, look, this is how neurotic I used to be. I would write down these in 15-minute increments. Please don't be that crazy, but if you are, hey, all hats off to you. What I do is write down the week like so, with each of the hours. And what we want to do is we want to put, firstly, the big rocks. So if you think of, I think there's a video going around of that professor and he's trying to fit like all these things into a jar. And if you don't put in the big rocks first and you just fill it up with sand, then you're not going to be able to fit the big rocks in. But if you put in the big rocks first and then the smaller rocks and then the sand, you'll be able to fit all the shit in, which, hey, let's squeeze as much as we can out of life. So let's put in our big rocks first. My big rocks is I love treating clients. And so I want to put them in, and I put them in from a Monday and a Tuesday. My other big rocks, and I probably should have said this first, is my family, but that to me is just a given. So I don't do any work between 5 and 8 o'clock at night. That's my family's time. If I have to get back on later, I will, but right now that's my family's time. And then also to here, between 7 and about 8 o'clock, family time. Non-negotiable. Big, big rock. On the weekend, family time. Except for when I'm in here on a Sunday, filming and talking to you guys. So again, let's be honest, I probably do it a bit like that. And family time looks like this. Now, you're going to make this look prettier. Some people really like doing a Google, in their Google Calendar. I like writing it out on a piece of paper. I diarise heaps, and this helps keep my chaotic mind a bit straighter. And so I will generally do this and review this every couple of months, even a little bit earlier if I'm feeling a bit unsteady, or if I'm feeling like my actions aren't marrying up with my values and I'm not moving towards my ideal life or my desire statements. So once I've got my big rock, so I've got family and I've got clients, I then want to make sure that, hey, you guys comes in. So this is where I'm doing the education piece on a Tuesday. And this here is my play. There's other play, and I do exercise and other stuff, yes. And this here too is my team. And I make sure that I've got this time structured into my week. And then here on the Friday is with my kids. Now that looks like mess and chaos, and sometimes it feels like that, but that's my ideal week for this season of life that I'm in. I love work, and if I could work 100-hour week, whatever, and do this all the time, I would love that. But I also have the massive value of my family and my kids. So that's where I've kind of got to manage to, I don't know, map it out. Now, if you're a junior career clinician, you don't give a shit about, me talking about my family, etc. You're thinking, how can I learn, not burn out, and not do a 10-hour day and be absolutely fried, and how can I actually just fit in my gym time and actually socialize and play and do adventures on the weekend? So if that's your reality, awesome. That's the season of life that you're in. So your ideal week is going to look way different to mine, middle-aged woman with 2 young kids. And I hope that for you. I don't want you to have, anyway, go out and have fun. So that's with your ideal week. So once you've got your ideal week, then you can have a look at what's your ideal and what's your current. Now, my team do this all the time, and I encourage this. Hey, Jess, this is my ideal week. This is what I'm working now. Right now, I'm working 3 nights a week and a Saturday, but I know I'm a new grad and I know I'm learning. That's an example. No one works that much at Move. But if they did, it's like, okay, this is my ideal. This is what I want to work towards. This is my strategy to how to get there. Now, we might have a rule at Move that, hey, you can start to, let's move towards your ideal if you're hitting these targets, or if you're moving this way clinically, or hey, if you're at this much utilization. I don't know, whatever it is for your clinic, if you go to your practice manager, owner with, hey, this is my ideal, this is my current, how can we bridge the gap? They are going to want to work with you to reach your goals. I know that being a practice owner, we might have a collective groan and be like, oh guys, if I had my ideal week, then I wouldn't even be working. That is me sometimes when I'm feeling really cynical and empty and probably haven't been living my ideal week. But come knowing that it is like a conversation, and that's your ideal, but they've got a different ideal, so that it's going to be a compromise to match. If you understand that, generally, like, you're going to be fine. So that's the third practical thing that you can do to reduce your burnout, is nail your ideal week and then start to talk to your team about it, so that then, hey, how can we get to this together, and come with solutions. Probably come with 5 solutions for every single problem that you interface, because even as like a clinic owner, if someone doesn't come to the table with solutions, then I'm going to push them away, because it is not my job to solve what they want their ideal week to be. So know that first. Once you've got your ideal week, you can then start to really solidify and see, hey, what actions do I need to do to be able to live closer to my values? And we know that when you're living closer to your values, burnout becomes non-existent. Yes, you've still got to make sure that you're filling up the cup and doing some self-care and creating space or structuring your environment so it's supportive for you, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to work hard. It doesn't mean that you don't have a week where you see 50 to 55 clients a week. That can still be true, and you won't burn out if you nail these other things. Now, not everyone is going to have those goals or that much capacity, but I know myself that I can smash a 50 or 60 client week, and yes, that will be massive. But if my goals or my season for that moment in time is a financial goal, then I know that I can do that, and I know that I love to do that, and I know that when I'm doing those, I'm collecting more and more information and data to then learn and get more experience. I always think about Alex Hormozi and how he thinks about just getting more reps. If that's the season of life that you're in, yeah, it can be a bit of a grind, but hey, in the end, it really, really, really pays off. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm telling you to burn the candle at both ends. I'm just saying, get to know yourself, understand your values deeply, understand what actions you're living each day to push you, or to be able to say you're living within your values, know where you want to go, and that's what your ideal is. And then also to know what kind of week and like cycle that you want to live in. Also too, when I'm thinking about the ideal week, my last thing to do is I then zoom out and I look at an ideal year. Some people do this the other way around, and we might be looking at an ideal year being like, I want to go on 2 family holidays and I want to have 3 long weekends. Or hey, if my season of life is adventure and play, then hey, I'm going to be doing this big overseas trip. I need to make sure that I'm not going to come off the plane and get into work day Tuesday absolutely jet lagged and be crap clinician for my clients. And that is the shortest way to burnout is, I'm going to get off the plane, but I'm going to give myself space and time to actually recharge, which means eat well, sleep well, exercise, do the things that fill up your cup so that then you can be the best for your clients. And also too, you're not pushing yourself to burnout, but you're pushing yourself more to the ideal that you want to live. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. I know this can be a really touchy subject and I've been very, very direct. I'm also want to preface, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a physio, but this has really been helpful with our team. And I'm also mindful, a lot of the time you might say, I don't have time to do that course. But the course might be the thing that means that you're living within your values because you're learning or you're pushing yourself to add clarity or to help more people move, which might be the goal that you have with your job or your innate being. So being able to really drill down and craft what your ideal week looks like, even if it might be a 6-week sprint like this course, by doing that exercise of finding what your ideal week is and being able to map it out, means that then you can actually be clear and kind to yourself so that you know you have time and space within that sprint that, hey, this is going to be a season, I'm going to be working really hard, but then I've got these planned times of downtime after this, and I've got what Michael Ritz calls micro rest baked in. Look, big topic, not too sure if I've solved it for you, but these are the things that help me to be able to keep my equilibrium. Let us know how you go.